Hey everybody, one of their GMG reviews. Today we're taking a Warhammer 40,000 Codex ELDAR. I refuse to say whatever that is. Which was kindly sent as a complimentary review copy by Games Workshop, along with, oh my gosh, the final capstone of the end of Jez Goodwin's era of ELDAR. I don't know who sculpted these, because I don't know who sculpted anything anymore by Games Workshop. But there are 4 new Phoenix Lords coming out in hard plastic. If you don't know who Jez Goodwin is, well, then, yeah. You probably grew up with the internet from the time you were born. Jez Goodwin was one of the original concept artist designers for the ELDAR in its sort of 2nd edition move, 3rd edition move. And a lot of these miniatures being resculpted today are based on his original artwork. And boy, howdy, what a reinterpretation of that original artwork these are. Now, if you haven't done a 40K GMG review with me, I tend to focus on what's new in these books. I don't do the whole, like, what's the best thing, balance, blah, 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 win games, blah, blah, blah. It's just not for me. And I'm sure there'll be a bajillion people out here today doing that if that's what you're here looking for. So, you know, this word of advice, you can move along. I'm going to focus on the cool new miniatures, the rules for the cool miniatures, and then like a historical representative of comparing things like this to things like this. And yeah, what we have here is a, geez Louise, full color, 191 page codex with a complete description of all the unit entries, model, you know what I mean, like showcases for everything from the Incarn, which was the weird, like, spookum avatar that came out at the end of 7th edition Warhammer 40,000. All the beautiful new plastic miniatures, color guides, a new combat patrol called Keegarill's Protectors, which is all based on the Wraith constructs and the Aspect Warriors, the new Aspect Warrior stuff. So it's got Wraith Blades, it's also got Dire Avengers and the new Warp Spiders, along with the Spirit Seer for some cool soul robot action. And then we got our codex. We got some new detachments in the form, of course, of the one that was available at launch, the War Host, but then we also had the Windrider Host, the Spirit Conclave, the Guardian Battle Host. I don't know why, like, just from a background point of view, it's like, no, we're a dying species. Send all the mothers and fathers to die. The Ghost of the Webway, which is sort of your, what would I call it? Your Harlequin army. And then the Devoted to the Ynnead, which is your, in Cairn / they're like a death cult inside the ELDAR. And it allows you to do the Ynnead sort of army list again. And then a Seer Council for Elfway, an Aspect Host for Bealtan. And that's it. So a ton of new detachments in this book as well for people to play with to make their armies mustered in a way that's cool and unique. Data sheet wise, again, I'm going to focus on the new stuff, miniatures that got released. I'm not going to go too deep into the older stuff because, frankly, I won't know what's different. And yeah, that would take forever and be incredibly painful. That's new Crusade rules and the point values in the book yet again. If you watch the Imperial Guard Astra Militarum review that I did, you can see that they've put the just a QR code for updates in the book, and they've now back to print and point values. Come on, Age of Sigmar. Come on, Age of Sigmar. You can do this too. It's ready. It's so easy to do. It's right there. Just a QR code. Just link that and make that current. And if people care about current point values, then they can actually just use this book without having to have a phone. I think that'd be fantastic. So let's dive in and talk about what's new and exciting. If you want to just, someone's going to put chapters in this. I don't have time. It's just too many videos. So I'm going to go detachments, then I'm going to go data sheets, then I'm going to go combat patrol, then I'm going to go Crusade. All right. So that's the order we're doing things in if you want to skip around a little bit. So let's start with our detachments, different ways of playing the army. Obviously the War Host was the first one. It's, as far as I can tell, exactly the same. Windrider Host is cool. It has a special rule called Ride Like the Wind. In the Declare Battle Formation step, if you set up Azuriani mounted and Viper units from your army in reserves during the battle, such units can be set up in the battlefield as if they were arriving from strategic reserve. So basically you get to, like, bomb in from the sky. For the purpose of setting up Azuriani mounted or Viper units from your army list in the battlefield, treat the current battle round as being one higher than it is, which means that you can arrive earlier than a normal reserve unit. In addition, at the end of your opponent's turn, You can select a number of Asuryani mounted or Viper units from your army, excluding those in engagement range of one or more enemy units, and then remove them from the battlefield and put them back in strategic reserve, so you can kind of bounce in and out. And the maximum number depends upon your battle size. So incursion, it's 1 can pull out each turn, 2 at strike force, and then onslaught 3 can pull out. And then keywords, Windrider units in your army gain battle lines. You can do the same hand army list of this, basically. And that's kind of what these detachments are, all the various different craft worlds. Your enhancements, you get a first drawn blade. As you mounted units only, models of the bearer's unit have the Scout 9 ability, so you can move 9 before the game starts. A Mirage Field. Again, these are all for Asuryani mounted. I'm just going to say Eldar mounted. God, I hate the Asuryani word. I hate these legally copyrightable words. Each time an attack targets the bearer's unit, you're -1 to hit. Seer Sight Strike. This has to be a mounted Psyker. Models only. Psyker only, I said. Psychic weapons equipped by the bearer have anti-monster 2+ and anti-vehicle 2+. So it's the old Ulthway stabbers. Echoes of the Ulthanesh. As an mounted model only. In your command phase, roll a d6, adding 1 to the result if the bearer is not within your deployment zone, adding additional 1 to the result if the bearer is within your opponent's deployment zone. On a 5+ get a CP. And then we got 6 strats. We've got Death from on High. It's a battle tactic. When your shooting phase or fight phase, target a mounted or Viper unit that was set up on the battlefield from reserve this turn, hasn't been selected to shoot or fight yet, so it has to be something that's just arrived. It's got a key into your detachment rule. And the effect is until the end of the phase, each time a model unit makes an attack, you can reroll the wound roll. It's like the surprise from this guy. Overflight. When your shooting phase or fight phase, just after a mounted unit from your army destroys an enemy unit, and the target's a mounted unit, and you can make a normal move 7 inches. So you can like shoot and scoot basically back behind and cover. It's kind of the second edition pop-up attacks. A Wind of Blades in your movement phase, target an Asuryani mounted or Viper unit from your army that hasn't been selected to move yet. And the effect is until the end of the turn, you're eligible to shoot and declare a charge even when you fall back. These are all 1 CP. Whole list is 1 CP. Daring Riders in the reinforcement step of your movement phase, 1 mounted or Viper unit from your army that's in reserves. Effect until the end of the phase, when setting them up from a strategic reserve, it can be set up anywhere in the battlefield that's more than 3 horizontally from all enemy units. And when doing so, if your enemy set up within 9 horizontally until the end of the turn, it's not eligible to declare a charge. So you can show up super close to like use like, I don't know, Melta weapons. What would be worth setting up within 3, 4? There's got to be something. But the important thing is that you get to like lock out your charge if you're within 9. So gives you a little more wiggle room, but like not being able to like easy charge. Focus Firepower. In your shooting phase, a mounted or Viper unit. Again, these are all going to be related to mounted or Viper units. And until the end of the turn, each time a model in your army makes an attack, the AP goes up by 1. It's called Focus Firepower. And then Spiraling Evasion. In your opponent's shooting phase, just after you've been targeted for a mounted or Viper unit, you get a 4+ invul. So defensive tech, offensive tech, some cool movement shenanigans, right? And then the ability to arrive super close. It's like on brand for same hand. The Spirit Conclave, your detachment rule. Shepherds of the Dead. Each time an Asuryani Psyker model from your army is destroyed by an enemy unit, that enemy unit gains a Vengeful Dead token. The Vengeful Dead. Each time a Wraith Construct model from your army makes an attack that targets something with a Vengeful Dread token, add 1 to the hit roll and 1 to the wound roll. This is kind of super powerful. So like, yeah, you just like give up a Psyker basically, like charging at something that's just going to kill it. And then you get Vengeful Dead tokens on it. It's like charge like a knight with like a Psyker, let him die. I could see this one getting gamed, I guess is what I'm saying. And then Spirit Guides, while a Wraith Guard or Wraith Blade or Wraith Lord unit from your army is within 12 of this ability, so any of your Psykers, they have the battle focused ability. And then keywords, Wraith Blades and Wraith Guard get battle line. Get your 4 enhancements, Light of Clarity for a Spirit Seer. In your command phase, select 1 friendly Wraith Construct unit within 12. Until the start of your next command phase, add 1 to the objective control of the characteristic of infantry models in that unit, and add 3 if it's a monster. So your big guys get 3, and the unit gets 1 each. Stave of Kurnos for Spirit Seer. In your command phase, select 1 friendly Wraith Construct within 12, excluding Titanic units, no big Wraith Knights. Until the start of your next command phase, each time the model in the unit makes an attack on a critical wound, they get precision. So you get to shoot in and pull out specific models. The Rune of Mists for a Spirit Seer model only. In your command phase, select 1 friendly Wraith Construct unit from your army within 12 of the bear until the start of your next command phase, until each time a range attack targets that unit, unless the attacking model is within 18, you get the benefit of cover. Higher duty, Spirit Seer model only. Once per turn, when an enemy makes a normal advance or fallback move within 9 of the bear, that bear's unit can make a normal move up to 6. So basically, you get like a response move. And then you got your 6 different stratagems. They're all 1 CP. Seer's Eye in the shooting or fight phase. Your shooting or fight phase. 1 Psyker for your army, and 1 friendly Wraith construct unit within 12 that hasn't been selected to fight yet is the target. And the effect is select 1 enemy unit visible to your Psyker model until the end of the phase. Each time a model in your Wraith construct unit makes an attack against that enemy, you can ignore any or all modifiers to the AP and or damage characteristic of that attack. So you can't reduce the AP and you can't reduce the damage. Very handy against certain armies. Wraithbone armor. When your opponent's shooting or fight phase, after you've been selected as a target for a Wraith construct, excluding Titanic units, effect until the end of the phase, each time an attack is allocated to a model in your unit, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic. So you can't get it in your Titanic units, that'd be bananas, but you can get it on like your Wraith Lords. Blades from Beyond in the fight phase for a Wraith Blade, Wraith Lord, or Wraith Knight unit that's been selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, melee weapons gain devastating wounds. Whew. Soul Bridge in your command phase, 1 Wraithblade, Wraithguard, or Wraithlord unit from your army, and 1 Aeldari Psyker, so you gotta pair them up. Until the start of your next command phase, the Wraithblades, Wraithguard, or Wraithlord unit is considered to be within 12 of your Psyker for the model for the purpose of psychic guidance and spirit guides. So basically you can like get someone out of range, but if you need to spend a CP, you can relink them to get the bonuses. Spirit token for 1. At the start of your movement phase, 1 Wraithblade or Wraithguard unit from your army. Select 1 objective marker you control that your unit is within range of. That objective marker remains under your control until your opponent's level of control over that objective marker is greater than yours at the end of a phase. And then Crushing Strides. This is for Wraithblades, Wraithblood, or Wraith Knight units that made a charge move, and the target has to be them. Effect, select 1 enemy unit within engagement range and roll a d6 for each Wraithblade model in your unit, or roll 4d6 if you have a Wraith Lord, or 6d6 if you're a Wraith Knight, and on every 3+, do a mortal wound. So basically it's just like run and start kicking dudes. So yeah, an Ulthway army effects, or sorry, not Ulthway. This one would be, I said Ulthway at the beginning. This is the Ghost army. Ulthway is the Spirit army. It's Spieltan is the aspect warrior. Sayman is the Windriders. Ulthway is the Spirits Council. And then, oh, you know what? It's going to be in here. It's going to be in here. Thank you, old Ynnead. Thank you, old Codex. On the back, it shows me all the craft worlds. Thanks, 2000. You've got all the answers I need. All right, Guardian Battle Host. This one would be from Ulthway, because they're the ones that use all this, the Black Guardians. Detachment will defend at all costs. Each time a Dire Avenger, Guardian, Support Weapon, or Warwalker model from your army makes an attack, if that model's unit and or target unit are within range of 1 or more objective markers, add 1 to the hit roll. Because you're good at objectives. You're good at standing in circles, which is what Warhammer 40,000 is now. That's what that game turned into. Good God, they're selling circles. All right, Craft World Champion, first of your enhancements. As a Ynnead model only, the bear has an objective control characteristic of 5, because you're just so cool at standing in circles. Ethereal Pathway, as a Ynnead model only, in the deploy army step, select 1 up to 2 guardians from your army. Models in the selected units have the Infiltrator's ability. That's cool. Protector of the Paths, as Ynnead model only. While the bear is leading a Dire Avenger or Guardian unit, once per battle battle round, when you target the bear's unit with the Fire Overwatch stratagem for 0 CP, and while resolving the stratagem, each hit of 5+ is unmodified hit of 4+. Instead of hits are scored on unmodified hits of 5+ or 4+ instead if the bear's unit's on an objective. So you get like superior Overwatch for Dire Avengers and Guardians. That's neat, and it costs you 0 CPs once per battle round. So you get like a big giant unit and park them on the central circle that you're so invested in, that super circle for hold 1, hold 2, hold more, which is what Warhammer 40,000 is now. And then finally, Breath of Fall. As the Ynnead model only, while the bear is leading a Storm Guardians unit, each time you roll to determine the number of attacks made with a flamer equipped by a model in that unit, you can reroll the result. And each time you make a damage roll for a model equipped with the Guardian Fusion Gun in that unit, you can reroll the result. Cool, fusion guns. And then we got our strats. Again, these are all 1 CP. Warding salvos in your shooting or fight phase for Dire Avengers or Guardians. Effect is until the end of the phase. Each time a model in your unit makes an attack that targets an enemy unit within range of 1 or more objective markers, reroll the wound roll. because this is the circles are the name of the game. And this one feels popular because circles are such a big deal. It's the favorite shape of 140,000 players. Shield nodes for 1 CP. When your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase, just after an enemy unit's been selected as the target, one Dire Avenger or Guardian unit from your army that was selected as the target of one or more of your attacking unit's attacks. And the effect is, if your unit's within range of one or more objective markers until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets that unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. -1 to a circle. Val's Vengeance, 1 CP. And when your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase, just after an enemy unit destroys a Dire Avenger or Guardian's unit from your army, the target a Warwalker from your army, because there's a Guardian shooting in that thing. The effect is, after the enemy unit's finished making its attacks, you can shoot as if it was your shooting phase. But when resolving those attacks, you can only target that enemy. And the restriction is you can only use the stratagem once per battle round. So that's kind of neat. 1 CP, they kill one of your little Guardian squads, your Dire Avenger squads, and you blast them. Just give them the brightest of lances. And then time to strike for 1 CP. In your movement phase, a Storm Guardian from your army, everyone's favorite elite melee unit. Effect until the end of the phase. Each time your unit advances, do not make an advance roll, but move 6 instead. Until the turn, your unit's eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn at which it advanced, because they're just that fast. Blades of Azurian, in your shooting phase, 1 Dire Avenger or Guardian unit from your army that hasn't been selected yet to shoot or fight. Until the end of the phase, your weapons have pistol, so you can shoot while you're in combat, basically. And then finally, the cost of victory. At the end of your opponent's fight phase, 1 Guardian unit from your army can be the target. If your unit is not within engagement range of one or more enemy units, remove it from the battlefield and put it in strategic reserve. And when doing so, return every destroyed Guardians model to your unit. That's really interesting. So like, basically like an almost dead unit can be put back in reserve, but then come back at full strength. So 1 Guardian could turn back into like 20 Guardians or however many the biggest squad size can be. All right, them Harlequins. Now that we've finished off with the people who love standing in circles, we have people who love standing in the webway. Detachment roll, Acrobatic Onslaught. Each time a Harlequin model from your army makes a charge move, it can move through enemy models. Traveling players, troops gain battle line, and you can include up to 3 of each of the following models in your army: Death Jesters, Shadow Seers, and Troop Masters. So yeah, be able to charge through models. It's cool. Your acrobats. All right, let's talk about some enhancements. We got Kegarach's Coil. It's for Troop Masters only. Each time the bearer unit ends a charge move, select 1 enemy unit within engagement range of the bearer's unit, and then roll a d6 for every model in that unit within engagement range of the enemy unit. For each 4+, the enemy unit takes a mortal wound to a maximum of 6. So you just get like supremely cool Harlequin's Kisses. Mask of Secrets, Harlequin models only. Each time an enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles, within engagement range falls back, all models in that unit must make a desperate escape test. And when doing so, if that enemy unit is battle shocked, subtract 1 from the test. Murder's Jest, for a Death Jester model only. Each time the bearer makes an attack that targets a unit that's below half strength, every successful hit scores a critical hit. So if you're below half, it's just always 6s. Mistweave, Shadow Seer model only. While the bearer is leading a unit, models in that unit have the Infiltrator's ability. That's cool. It's Infiltrate because the Shadow Seer is going to cover your advance. I think my favorite one here is Murder's Jest, because it's basically the comedian from Watchmen. He's just laughing while he fires flamethrowers into fleeing people. Staged Death is our first of our stratagems. They're all 1 CP yet again. The when is any phase, and it targets a Harlequin's character model from your army that was just destroyed. You can use the stratagem on that model even though it was destroyed. And the effect is at the end of the phase, set your model back up in the battlefield as close as possible to where it was destroyed, and not within engagement range of any enemy units, with half its starting number of wounds. Restriction, you can only be targeted by the stratagem once per battle for each character, but every character can do it, because you're all the Joker. Doesn't matter how many times Batman thinks the Joker's dead, he keeps coming back. Heroes Fall for 1 CP. When the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, 1 Harlequin model from your army must be the target, and that was selected as the target of those attacks. The effect is until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit's destroyed. If that model hasn't fought yet on a 4+, it can fight. So it's fight on death. Mocking Flight. This one is you're in your movement phase just after a Harlequin unit from your army falls back. The target is that Harlequin's unit, and until the end of the turn, your unit's eligible to shoot and declare a charge in a turn in which it falls back. Trickster's Retort. When your opponent's movement phase, just after an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, or fallback move, and the target has to be a troop model from your army that's within 9 of the enemy, and you can make a normal move up to 6. So Interesting. Someone runs away from you and you're just like, nope, I'm going to go over here, or I'm going to hide behind cover, or do a little deke. Bloody Dance for 1 CP. In your opponent's charge phase, 1 Harlequin infantry or Harlequins mounted unit from your army. It's within 6 of 1 or more enemy units. And would be eligible to declare a charge, can then charge. So it's charged during your opponent's turn. Note that even if this charge is successful, your unit does not receive any charge bonuses this turn, however. And then exit the stage. In your opponent's fight phase, 1 Harlequin unit from your army that is not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units. You can put them in strategic reserve. So pop into hiding, basically. So yeah, neat. You get a cool little Harlequin mini list here. Then we get the Devoted of the Ynnead. They have Strength from Death. Use the following rules for your detachment. Lethal Intent. At the end of your opponent's shooting phase, if 1 or more Aeldari units from your army were destroyed this phase, select an Aeldari unit from your army, excluding Titanic units that can make a normal move. Lethal Surge. Once per turn, when an Aeldari unit from your army performs the Fade Back Agile Maneuver on page 101, it can make a lethal surge move instead of a normal move. If it does, roll a d6 and add 1 to the result. That unit can move a total number of inches up to the total. When doing so, these models must be moved within engagement range of the enemy, as if they had just triggered an agile maneuver. And an agile maneuver, which is just like your I'm an ELDAR rule. Basically, if your army is Azuriani, at the start of the battle round, you receive a number of battle focus tokens based on the battle saves shown below. So incursions 2, strike forces 4, 6 for onslaughts. Each time one of the triggers shown in the agile maneuver section below occurs, you can spend a battle focus token to make an agile maneuver. So Swift as the Wind trigger when a unit from your army is selected to take a normal move, advance move, or fallback move. You can trigger this. Add 2 to your movement characteristic, so you can spend 1 to do that. Fleeting Shadows, when an eligible unit from your army is selected to make a normal advance or fallback move, is set up in the battlefield or declares a charge. You can't be shot with Overwatch. Star Engines, when the vehicle unit from your army is selected to make a normal move, you can add d6 plus 1 to the move characteristic. Sudden Strike, until the end of the phase, each model unit makes a pylon or consolidation move. It can move up to 6 instead of 3. That's when you're selected to fight. Opportunity Seized, 1 eligible unit from your army, excluding Titanic unit that started the phase within engagement range of the enemy, can make a normal move up to d6 plus 1 when you fall back. And it's a normal move, not a fallback move. And then Fade Back in your opponent's shooting phase just after you've been shot. 1 eligible unit from your army, excluding Titanic units, that was hit by 1 or more of those shots, can make a normal move up to d6 plus 1. And then Disparate Pass. When mustering your army, you can include Harlequin units in your army, even though they don't have the Aeldari keyword, and unless otherwise stated, you cannot select Harlequins or Aeldari units as your army faction. So that Lethal Surge means that the Fade Back Agile Maneuver can make a Lethal Surge move instead of a normal move. And Lethal Surge is, if you do so, roll a d6 and add 1 to the result. The unit can be moved a number of inches equal to that total, and when doing so, those models can be moved within engagement range of the enemy that just triggered Agile Maneuver. So instead of like running away, you can run into combat. And then Lethal Reprisal. At the start of the fight phase, select 1 Aeldari unit from your army that's below starting strength. Until the end of the phase, they have Fight First. So one of your units basically, when they start to die, they start to like hulk up and get strike first. And then Servants of Whispering God. You can include Aeldari units in your army, even though they have the Azariani faction keyword. Azariani units, including the Epic Heroes from your army, gain the Ynnead keyword, and you must include Ivrain and or the Incairn in your army, and one of them must be your Warlord. So no choice of who your Warlord's going to be. And then your enhancements. Gaze of the Ynnead for a Farseer only. Your Eldritch Storm has devastating wounds. Storm of Whispers for a Warlock only. In your shooting phase, after the bearer is shot, select 1 enemy unit hit by 1 or more of your attacks. The unit can take a battle shock test. Burrowed Vigor, Archons only. Add 2 to the attack characteristic of the model's melee weapons. And then Morbid Might, Succubus only. Each time a bearer makes a melee attack, you can reroll the wound roll. And then you get your 6 different strats. Once again, all but 1, Parting the Veil, are 1 CP. It is 2 CPs. So Pile of Dread, any phase, target 1 Aeldari unit from your army that was just destroyed while it was within engagement range of 1 or more objective markers you controlled at the end of the previous phase. You can use a stratagem even though they're dead. Select 1 of those objective markers. That objective marker remains under your control until the opponent's level of control over that objective marker is greater than yours at the end of the phase. Macabre Resilience. Now, when your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase, just after enemy unit selected as targets, 1 infantry or mounted unit from your army, excluding Wraith constructs, that was selected as the target of the attack, can be the target, and your -1 to wound. Emissaries of the Ynnead. In the fight phase, just after an Ynnead infantry unit from your army has selected its targets, the target's the Ynnead infantry unit, and the effect is until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1. If your unit is below starting strength, you can reroll the hit roll instead. So you get to be cool with your infantry in the fight phase. And the more damage you are, the better you get. Parting the Veil, this one costs 2. Fight phase, just after the enemy unit selected its targets and the Ynnead unit that was the target of the attack. The effect is until the end of the phase. Each time a model in your unit is destroyed, that model is not fought yet, that do not remove it, it can then fight. It's no roll, it's just fight on death. Soul Sight in your shooting phase. 1 Ynnead unit from your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase yet can be the target. And the effect is you gain all your ranged weapons, gain lethal hits and ignore cover abilities. And then Death answers death. When your opponent's shooting phase, 1 Ynnead unit from your army, excluding Wraith constructs, or if 1 or more models were destroyed this phase, you can shoot as if it were your shooting phase. So if someone dies in your unit, you shoot back for a CP. So that's neat. See through the back. Yeah, cool, I guess. You can use those miniatures. It was a neat storyline, having this this radicalized splinter faction of the Eldar. And then we got our Seer Council. So this is like Althway 2.0, because it's like the Council of Psychics. They get Strands of Fate. At the start of your first battle round, you can generate Fate dice by rolling a number of d6 based on the battle size. So 3 for Incursion, 6 for Strike Force, 9 for Onslaught. Each time one of you use one of your stratagems opposite, if your Fate dice pool contains 1 or more Fate dice shown with the corresponding value in the table below, you can discard one of them to do it for reduce the CP cost by 1. So they're all 1 CP, which basically means they're free. So you have your 6. Basically, 1 is Presentment of Dread, 2 is Forewarned, 3 is Unshredded Truth, 4 is Fate Inescapable, 5 is Issue's Fury, 6 is Psychic Shield. You can just spend the dice to use these strats instead. Your enhancements, Lucid Eye for your Psychers. In your command phase, you can add 1 or subtract 1 from the value of your Fate dice in your Fate dice pool, so you can modify your Fate dice to change it. And these are just, they don't come back, right? It's just when you roll them in the first battle round, you'll have them for the game. Runes of Warding. As you have any Psychers only, models in the Bear's unit have Feel No Pain 4+ against mortal wounds, psychic attacks, and critical wounds caused by devastating wounds. The Stone of Eldritch Fury, add 12 to the range of your psychic weapons equipped by the Bear. And then Torque of Morag Heg. For Psychers only, once per turn, when your opponent targets a unit from your army within 12 of the Bear of the stratagem, with a stratagem, if the Bear can use this enhancement, it does so increase the CP cost of the use of the stratagem by 1. So basically, it's 1 extra CP if you're within 12 of the guy to use strats on him. All right, so our different abilities. We have Presentment of Dread in the command phase for a Psyker model from your army. Select 1 enemy unit with an 18 invisible to the model. The enemy must make a battle shock test, subtracting 1. Forewarned in the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets. Target an infantry unit from your army that's not a Wraith construct that was selected as the target of 1 or more of the attacking unit's attacks and is within 9 of 1 or more friendly Aeldari Psyker models. The effect until the end of the phase, each time an attack targets your unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll and 1 from the wound roll. The Unshrouded Truth, this is in your movement phase. Target 1 Aeldari infantry unit from your army, excluding Wraith construct units, that has not been selected to move this phase and is within 9 of a Psyker. The effect is remove it from the battlefield and set it up anywhere in the battlefield more than 9 horizontally away from all enemy models. But you can't move again. So you sling bring them like Doctor Strange. Fate Inescapable for 1. In your shooting phase, 1 Aeldari infantry unit from your army, excluding Wraith construct units that has been selected to shoot this phase and is within 9 of 1 or more friendly Aeldari Psyker models. Until the end of the turn, you get Ignore Cover, and each time a model in your unit makes an attack on a critical wound, improve its AP by 1. Issue's Fury. When your opponent's movement phase, just after an enemy unit ends a normal advance or fallback move, targets a Psyker model from your army that's within 9 of the enemy, and the effect is roll 6d6 and every 3+ do a mortal wound. So just force lightning people, basically, for a CP. And then Psychic Shield. During your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, infantry unit that was targeted, it's not a Wraith construct, that's within 9 of 1 or more friendly Psychers. And the effect is until the end of the phase, you can only be selected as a target of a ranged attack if you're within 18. So that Night Titan shooting you from way far away, you can block it with your Psychers. So that's cool. Nice Seer Council army. Again, you can kind of go Guardians or you can go Psychers for Althway, which is a neat thing. And then we got Biel-Tan, the Aspect Host. This is the one that basically all these new models are coming out for, so I'm kind of excited about it. We got the Path of the Warrior. Each time an Aspect Warrior or Avatar of Cain unit from your army is selected to shoot or fight, select one of the following abilities. Either reroll hits of 1, or reroll wound rolls of 1, depending upon which one is more advantageous. Then your enhancements, Aspect of Murder. For Autarchs or Autarch Wayleapers. Add one of the damage characteristic of melee weapons equipped by the bearer, and those weapons gain precision. A Mantle of Wisdom for Autarchs and Autarch Wayleaper models only. While the bearer is leading an Aspect Warrior unit, each time that unit is selected to shoot or fight, until the end of the phase, models in the unit gain both of the Path of the Warrior abilities. So you can roll 1s to hit and 1s to wound. Go 8th edition. Shimmerstone, Autarchs or Wayleapers only. While the bearer is leading an Aspect Warrior unit, each time the range attack targets that unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. And then Strategic Savant, Autarch or Autarch Wayleaper only. While the bearer is leading an Aspect Warrior unit, add one of the objective control characteristic of models in that unit. And then we get our 6 strats, all of which are 1 CP. We have Warrior Focus. In your shooting or fight phase, select the Aspect Warrior or Avatar of Cain. It needs to shoot or fight. And the effect is until the end of the phase, you can ignore any modifiers to ballistic skill, weapon skill, strength, armor penetration, and damage, and any or all modifiers to the hit roll. So you're just that good. You're just that good. 1 for To Their Final Breath. In the fight phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, an Aspect Warrior Avatar of Cain from your army that was selected as the target. Each time you use a stratagem, you can remove 1 Aspect Shrine token your unit is on their data sheet. Then until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit is destroyed, that model has not fought yet, roll a d6, adding 1 to the result if you removed an Aspect Shrine token during the use of the stratagem. On a 4+, do not remove the destroyed model from play. It can fight after fighting and then remove it from play. So basically you pull off a Spirit Stone from the unit and then fight. And there's little like tokens for all that stuff. Skyborn Sanctuary. At the end of the fight phase, 1 Asuryani unit from your army and 1 friendly transport it's able to embark within. If the Asuryani is wholly within 6, embark it. So basically at the end of the fight phase, you can just get back in a Wave Serpent. Doom Inescapable in your shooting phase. Target 1 Avatar of Cain model in your army that has not been selected to shoot this phase. Effect until the end of the phase, your model's Wailing Doom range has a range characteristic of 18 and a damage of 8. What? That's a CP to have a hell of a gun. It's basically the big like harpoon gun from the big knight. Also, you kind of almost have to take the Avatar because you're locking out one of the strats otherwise. And then Preternatural Precision. In your shooting phase, 1 Aspect Warrior unit from your army that hasn't been selected to shoot this phase. The effect is each time you use this stratagem, you can remove 1 Aspect Shrine unit that has 1 Aspect Shrine token your unit has. Then select one of the following abilities, or select 2 if you remove an Aspect Shrine token. Ignore cover, lethal hits, or sustain hits 1. Till the end of the phase, your ranged weapons have that rule. And then Cain's Vengeance. For 1 CP, your movement phase just after an enemy unit has fallen back. An Aspect Warrior or Avatar of Cain unit that was engaged with that unit. All models of that enemy unit must make a dangerous escape test, and if doing so, you're -1 to the roll if they're battle shocked. And that's it, our detachments. So let's get into some data sheets. Man, there are some cool new models out, obviously, 4 new Phoenix Lords in plastic. And we've also got these great plastic Warp Spiders, finally. I think they were the last bastion of like original Jez Goodwin medals from way back in the day, in the late 90s, mid 90s. Yeah, like pushing 30 years old, those miniatures. And then a brand new Phoenix Lord, Lycus, who is the first of our topics today. So Lycus is the Warp Spider Phoenix Lord, and a lot like Karandras is kind of focused on like close range stuff. 12-inch move, because obviously there's the Warp Jump Generator on our back. Toughness 3 only, because we're talking Eldar here. 2+ save, though, with a 4+ invulnerable, 5 wounds, 6+ leadership, and 1 objective control. Has Empiric Ambush. When this model is leading a unit, that unit's eligible to declare a charge in a turn in which it will use the Flicker Jump ability. So even if you're using your like warp generators, you can still make a charge. Whispering Web. In your shooting phase, after this model is shot, select 1 enemy unit hit by 1 or more of those attacks. Until the end of the turn, each time a friendly Aeldari model makes an attack that targets that unit, an unmodified roll of 5 scores a critical hit. And it's worth talking. I'm going to go back and forth between the Aspect and the Phoenix Lord. Talk about that. So those Death Spinners, right? They have Ignore Cover Torrent and D6 shot, strength 4, AP -1, and damage 1 with a 12-inch range. You get the Death Weavers that are twin linked as well with ignore cover. And then the flicker jump ability is in your movement phase. Each time this unit is selected to make a normal move, it can use this ability, and if it does until the end of the turn, this unit's not eligible to declare a charge, and models in it have a move characteristic of 24 inches. Each time this unit uses this ability, at the end of the phase, roll 1d6 for each model in the unit, and on a 1, the unit suffers a mortal wound. So you do have a 24-inch charge range apparently with Lycus and the Bodyguard when you do the Empiric Ambush. So pretty cool. You've got your weapons, Brood Twain. This is your like custom warp spinner. 12-inch range, D6 plus 3 shot, strength 6 minus 2, 1 damage. And remember with Whispering Web, the unit that this gun has shot is going to be critical hit on 5s. Then we got melee weapons, the Spider's Fangs, extra attacks, lethal hits. These are like the extra arm blades. 5 attacks, 2+, strength 4, minus 2, 1 damage. And then the Weave Render, which does critical hits. It's melee, 5 attacks, 2+, strength 6, minus 2, 2 damage. So not obviously like going to kill a knight or something like that, but will definitely take a big chunk of damage out of a Space Marine squad. Any 2 wound, you know what I mean? Bad guys that you're really fighting against, you can do a big ton of damage with them shooting wise, and then like pile in and do some fighting. And relatively tough. I mean, this is Eldar, right? So they're not going to have a high toughness, but with a 2+ save and a 4+ invul, you're probably not going to die immediately. Now let's talk about those warp spiders, because obviously the warp spiders themselves will be the bodyguard unit. They've got death spinners, death weavers, and you're going to have 5 in a squad or 10. The 10-man is, I believe, 150. Interestingly enough, the total point value of all the new 10-man squads of Aspect Warriors and their corresponding Phoenix Lords. So if you take Baroth, Lycus, and Fugan all leading a 10-man squad, and then you have Azerman lead the army, you have 1,000 points exactly, which is really funny. The army is just kitted right out. And then we have their Aspect Shrine token. Once per battle for each Aspect Shrine token that this unit has, you can change the result of 1 hit roll or 1 wound roll made by a model in this unit to an unmodified 6. Now, remember, you've also got the ability to use them for your stratagems if you're playing this as the Aspect host. So the Warspider Exarch has a Death Spinner and a Close Combat weapon. Every Warspider is equipped with a Death Spinner and Close Combat weapon. The Exarch can either have a Spinneret Rifle and a Death Weaver, a Power Blades and Death Weavers, or a Power Blade Array. And for every 5 models in it, you can have 1 Aspect Shrine token. They're like a little marker that comes in the plastic box, and you'll see the plastic box. And then, yeah, your 12-inch range. The Spinneret Rifle has an 18-inch range, and it's 5 minus 1, 1 damage. The Exarch's Death Spinner is 6 minus 2, 1 damage. And the Death Weavers obviously are, just the 6-inch range, like little baby pistol style, but it's the same as the Death Spinner, but twin linked. And then melee weapons, close combat weapons are just 2 attacks, 3+, strength 3, no AP and 1 damage. Just their fists basically. Power Blade Arrays, lethal hits and twin linked, 10 attacks, 3+ to hit, strength 4, minus 2, 1 damage. That's a Cuisinart. And then Power Blades have lethal hits and twin linked. So remember, 6s are like your 6s to hit are going to be automatic wounds. 5 attacks, 3+, strength 4, minus 2, 1 damage. So they're like a close range shooting squad, and between the Exarch and the Phoenix Lord, you have a decent amount of damage you'd spike out of there. Let's talk about the real close range shooters, though, led by Fugan, the Burning Lance, with his brand new model, his brand new orangeness, 7-inch move, toughness 3. He's got a 2+ save and a 4+ invul, 5 wounds, leadership 6, and 1 objective control. The Phoenix Lords are basically identical in this way. He's got leader as his core ability and battle focus. He's got a Burning Lance. While this model is leading a unit, adds 6-inch range to the characteristic of melted weapons equipped by models in that unit. So now you've got wildly ranged melta guns in your warps or your Fire Dragon units. Because the Fire Dragons go, it almost feels like, because they're only like 120 points each, it feels like the Phoenix Lords are almost like automatic includes in these units now. The Fire Dragons have 12-inch range Dragon Fusion guns, so you're going to 18-inch range, which means Melta will trigger on 9s now, which is pretty cool. It still doesn't trigger inside deep strike range, but that one arriving close ability would be amazing. Unquenchable Resolve. The first time this model is destroyed, the end of the battle, or the end of the phase, sorry, roll a d6 on a 2+, to the model back on the battlefield as close as possible where it was destroyed, not in engagement range, with its full wounds remaining. So 2+, it just comes back to life with 5 wounds. And then Seer Song's got beam and assault lance as its 2 like abilities. The beam is 12-inch range, 3 attacks on 2s, strength 8 minus 3, 2 damage, so like a marine killer. And then Seer Song is assault melta 6. So it's assault melta 1, sustain 2 on the Seer Song beam, and then the lance version, assault melta 6, 18-inch range. And then it's, I think, yeah, he gets to add 6 to that as well, so it's going to be 18 and 24. Because Burning Lance says, while this model is leading a unit, add 6-inch range to the characteristic of melta weapons equipped by the models in that unit. That would include his own. So, or no, because he's not the unit. I can see people trying to argue that he is by that unit. Because he becomes, when he leads a unit, I guess he doesn't become part of that unit. They just gain the range. Which is weird though, because then he's got a shorter range than some of their weapons. But yeah, it's 1 shot, 2+, strength 14, minus 4, d6 damage. And then his fire axe is 6 attacks, 2+, strength 5, minus 4, and 3 damage. And he can be attached to fire dragons. So yeah, and fire dragons are pretty much the same as they've always been, right? You got your fusion guns. The unit is 1 fire dragon exarch and 4 to 9 fire dragons. So you can go up to, I think it's 100 it's 200 for these guys. If you go to the full 10, it's like 150 and then 200. And you got your options of either a Dragon's Breath Flamer, a Dragon Fusion Pistol and Dragon Axe, or a Fire Pike, which you can exchange your fusion guns for. And so the Dragon Breath Flamer is Assault, Ignore Cover, Torrent, 12-inch range, d6 plus 2, strength 6, minus 2, 1 damage. The Fusion Pistol is just a 6-inch range fusion gun. And then the Fire Pike is Assault, Melta 3, 18-inch range. We go to 24, so 12-inch range Melta ability. It's Melta 3, 1 attack, 3+, strength 12, minus 4 d6 damage. So it'd be d6 plus 3 damage with 1 shot at 12 inches. Close combat weapons are the same as the other aspect warriors, 2 attacks, 3+, strength 3, and 1 damage. And the Dragon Axe is 3 attacks, 3+, strength 6, minus 4 d6 damage. The Dragon Axe is like a Melta axe. It's cool as hell, but it doesn't have the Melta keyword. So they're pretty neat. And then we got Bearoth. I do love Bearoth. So Bearoth in like early editions of Warhammer 40,000 was absolutely the best because he had a special rule called Sustained Assault where he just kept rolling to hit with his melee weapons until he missed. And you could just roll forever. As long as you hit, every hit generated a new hit. So he's got Deep Strike and Leader and Battle Focus. He's got Cloud Strider. He's got a 14-inch move, toughness 3, 2+ save, 4+ invul, 5 wounds, 6+ leadership and objective 1, just like the other Phoenix Lords do. Cloud Strider is, while this model is leading a unit, at the end of your opponent's turn, if that unit's not within engagement range of 1 or more enemy units, you can remove it from the battlefield and place it into strategic reserves. In addition, while this model is leading a unit, when that unit is set up on the battlefield using the Deep Strike ability, it can use this ability. If it does, that unit can be set up anywhere in the battlefield that's more than 3 horizontally away from all enemy models, but until the end of the turn, they're not eligible to declare a charge. So he has like the bounce. And then Cry of the Wind, each time this model is set up on the battlefield, until the end of the turn, each time this model makes a ranged attack, a successful unmodified hit roll is a crit. So he just does crits, which means his lethal hits will engage, because Fury of the Tempest, which is his super las rifle, is 24-inch range, 4 attacks, 2+, strength 6, minus 1, 2 damage. So it's just going to auto wound with lethal hits and assault the turn that he arrives. And his Shining Blade has sustained hits 1, 6 attacks, 2+, strength 5, minus 2, 2 damage. So he's super dangerous, and you can stick him into Phoenix, or Swooping Hawks rather. And Swooping Hawks, while glassy, are still very cool. And I have to say the sculpts for these new Swooping Hawks look the most like the original Jez Gooden ones, which are my favorite incarnation. Also 14-inch range, toughness 3, 4+ armor, 5+ invulnerable saves, which I think all the Aspect Warriors have now. You get 1 and 2 wounds on the Exarch, and then leadership 6 and 1 objective control. You take 4 to 9 again, and 1 Exarch. So I think they are 170 because they're fast. To take a full unit, Swooping Hawks, 150, 75, and then 150. They've got Grenade Pack Flyover. Once per turn in your movement phase, when this unit is set up on the battlefield or ends a normal, advance, or fallback move, it can use this ability. If it does, select 1 enemy unit within 8 and visible to this unit and roll a d6 for each Swooping Hawks model in that unit to a maximum of 4+. For each 4+, to a maximum of 6 mortal wounds, you take a mortal wound. Each time you use this ability, until the end of the turn, you can't also target them with a grenade stratagem because they've already used their grenades for the turn. And then they've got Exarch Las Blaster, which is assault lethal hits, 24-inch range, 4 shots, 3+, strength 5, minus 1, 1 damage. The basic Las Blaster is 4 shots, 3+, 4 strength, and no AP, and 1 damage. And then scatter lasers, because your options are the Sweeping Hawk Exarch can either have a Las Blaster, a Sun Sword and Power Sword, and a scatter laser. And then you get for every 5, all the aspect warriors for every 5, you get a shrine token. And it's funny because the shrine token was always on the Dire Avengers. It was like a little Azurian, and there was never like a rule for it, but now it actually has like a thing that it does, which I think is neat, and they've included them in everything. I think the what were they called? Because they're out already. The Striking Scorpions came out for Kill Team, and they had a shrine token too that you actually used. The scatter laser is 36-inch range, strength 5, 6 shots, 3+, and 1 damage, and it's got sustained hits 1. And then the Sun Pistol, 12-inch range, has lethal hits, assault, and pistol, 2 shots, 3+, strength 4, 1 damage. That's it. And then we've got our big boy Azerman. Azerman's whole keys to the city before was he had 3+ invulnerable save. So what's he got now? And of course, his Dire Avengers are still like the standard. It's funny, those miniatures are getting real old now too. He's 7-inch move, toughness 3, 2+ save, 4+ invulnerable, so no 3+ invulnerable anymore. 5 wounds, leadership 6+. He's got the Bloody Twins, his 2 like pistols, and Sword of Azur. And then he has Tactical Acumen. While this model's leading a unit in your shooting phase, after this unit's shot, it can make a normal move up to 6 inches. If it does until the end of the turn, that unit's not eligible to declare a charge. And then Hand of Azurian, once per battle, when this model is selected to shoot, it can use this ability. If it does until the end of the phase, its Bloody Twins weapons have a devastating or damage characteristic of 3, and the anti-infantry 3+ and devastating wounds ability. So he can just turn them up to kill like aggressors or any of like the big 3 wounded infantry, 3 wounded orcs. And their assault and pistol, 24-inch range, 6 shots, 2+, strength 5, -1, 2 damage. That is a horrifying gun for killing infantry. And the Sword of Azur also has devastating wounds, melee, 6 attacks, 2+, strength 6, -3, 3 damage. And you can attach them to Dire Avengers. And of course, those guys, same miniatures, 7 inches of movement, toughness 3, 4+ save, 5+ invul, and the Exarch. 1 or 2 wounds for the Exarch. And they've got Shuriken catapults. And your Exarch has the option of a Dire Sword and a Power Glaive and a Shuriken pistol. The Avenger Shuriken catapult is assault, 18 inches, 4 shots, 3+, strength 4, -1, 1 damage. And the pistol is 12-inch range with basically the same profile, but 1 shot. The Dire Sword is melee, strength 4, -2, 1 damage with 4 attacks. And the Power Glaive is 3 attacks, 3+, 5, -3, 1 damage. You get a 4+ invulnerable save, you take the Shimmer Shield, and the Aspect Shrine token, of course, you get 1, and it lets you, they're all the same. It's always going to be trade them for a 6+ dice roll. Sorry, hit or wound. And then they have Blade Storm. Range weapons equipped by models in this unit have the Sustained Hits 1 ability when targeting enemy units in the half range. That's kind of it for what's new and exciting. Again, I'm not going to... you know what? Let's talk about the Striking Scorpions, because they also got a plastic kit. It's not part of this release because it came out for Kill Team. Is Karandras in here? Mogan Ra's in here, because of course he is. I don't see Karandras. Jane Zar's in here because she's got a model. Mogan Ra's in here. Yeah, there's no Karandras. Oh, interesting. That means he's probably going to come out later. How much you want to bet we're going to get a Karandras box set coming out? Some kind of Shadow Hunter box set with Karandras in it. But yeah, the Scorpion, 7-inch move, toughness 3, 3+ saves. So they're relatively tough. 5 again in the Exarch for an invul, and 2 in the Exarch as well. They got Scout, 7-inch, Infiltrators, and Stealth for their core abilities. And then Mana Blasters. Each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, if it made a charge in the same turn, unmodified dice rolls of 5+ get a critical hit. And then you've got the options for your Exarch to have a Shuriken Pistol, Scorpion Chainsword, and Scorpion Claw, traded with a Biting Blade and Shuriken Pistol, or 1 Chain Sabers. So your Chain Sabers are Assault, Pistol, Twin Linked. And they have 12-inch range, 3+ to hit, 1 shot, strength 4, -1, they're bolt pistols, heavy bolt pistols, and 1 damage. Shuriken Pistols, Assault Pistol, 12-inch range, 3+, strength 4, -1, 1 damage. The melee weapons, the Biting Blade is sustained hits 1, 4 attacks, 3+, strength 6, -3, 1 damage for your Exarch. Chain Sabers are sustained hits 1 and Twin Linked. if you take the double ones, and then that's 5 attacks, 3+, strength 4, -1 damage. The core one for the regular Scorpions is -1 attacks, so it's just 4 attacks, and sustain hits 1. And the Scorpion's Claw, it's just a Power Fist, 3 attacks, 3+, strength 8, -2, and 2 damage. So a cool, like, sneaking up unit, but yeah, not having Karandras because there's no rules for things that don't have models anymore. So, because he didn't get an upgrade yet, or he's later in the release schedule, you can't stick anything in that squad. Yeah, we got Azerman, Baroth, Fugan Janzar, Lycus, and Mogan Ra, because they've all gotten upgrades already, but nobody else. And there it is. Again, I'm not going to focus on anything else because for the most part, it doesn't look super unchanged. Yeah, and I wouldn't know the difference, but those are the cool new models in this box. So let's talk about the Combat Patrol. All right, so let's talk Kigaril's Protectors. You get a Spirit Seer in this box set, 5 Wraith Blades, 2 units of 5 Dire Avengers, and then a unit of 5 Warp Spiders. So not a bad little box. It's not very detachment specific because you're going to get a mix of stuff here. But you could start like almost any of the detachments that involve the Wraith Guard. So specifically, what's the name of that detachment again? Undying something Protector, Spirit Conclave. And then the obviously the Aspect War Host as well. So they get battle focused. So at the start of the battle, you get a battle focus token. Each time one of the triggers below happens, you can use Swift as the Wind, Flitting Shadows, or Fade Back, and they're the same as the ones from like the core list, but you don't get access to all 6. Then you get your enhancements. You can either for your whatchamacallit Spirit Seer, either take Spiritual Guidance at the start of the battle round. You receive an additional battle focus token. Or Ish's Protector once per turn in your movement phase. When the bearer starts or ends a move, select one friendly Wraithblades unit within 6 inches. At the start of your next movement phase, each time an attack targets that Wraithblades unit, if the strength characteristic of the attack is greater than their toughness, it's -1 to the wound roll. So basically, unless you're winning on 2s, you're winning on 4s. If you're winning on 2s, you're winning on 3s in that case. So yeah, so you get access to Fade Back, which is if someone's shot at you, you can move up to D6 plus 1 inches. Flitting Shadows, they can't Overwatch against you. And then Swift as the Wind, add 2 to your move characteristic when you make a normal move. And then your 2 objective options for secondaries are either the Protect the Future. At the start of the Declare Battle Formation step, select 1 enemy unit, excluding character units. The selected unit must be infantry or mounted. When the enemy is destroyed, you score 9 VPs. If your Spirit Seer model is still on the table, when that enemy is destroyed, you get 12 instead. And then optional secondary, recover the Spirit Stones. At the start of your turn, select 1 objective marker within No Man's Land. At the end of the opponent's next turn or the end of the battle, whichever comes first, you control that, you score an extra 3 VPs. So either call it a circle to stand in extra good, or kill a unit. And then your strats are Focused Firepower, Swift Deception, and Elusive. So Focused Firepower is 1 or more Azerian units from your army. In the shooting phase, select 1 enemy unit until the end of the phase. Each time a model your one of your units makes an attack that targets that enemy unit, reroll wound rolls of 1. And then Swift Deception, when this in your opponent's charge phase, target 1 Azerian unit from your army, excluding Wraithblades units. And the effect is your unit can make a normal move up to D3 inches. And then finally, Elusive. When your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy it's selected its targets, target 1 Azerian unit from your army, excluding the Wraithblades that were targeted by the attacks. The effect is, until the end of the phase, models in your unit have the stealth ability. Each time a ranged attack targets your unit, models in it have the benefit of cover against that attack. Your Spirit Seer, 7-inch move, toughness 3, 6+ save with a 4+ invul, because he's a Spirit Seer, obviously. 3 wounds and leadership 6+, objective control 1. Got a Witch Staff, anti-infantry 2+ psychic weapon, which does D3 damage, and a Shuriken pistol. Got Battle Focus, and then Spirit Steer. While this model is within 3 of 1 or more friendly Wraith construct units, that model has this model has Lone Operative, so you can't shoot him. And then Spirit Mark, Psychic. Once per turn in your movement phase, when this model starts or ends a move, select 1 friendly Wraith construct unit from within 6 of this model, and 1 enemy unit visible to this model. Till the start of your next movement phase, model weapons equipped by the models and that friendly unit have sustained hits 1 while targeting the enemy. So you pick somebody out and you get sustained hits against them. Dire Avengers, same as we talked about earlier. They've got their Bladestorm ability. You have to take the Power Glaive on your Sarge, your Exarch. The Wraithblades, they get their Ghost Axes, Malevolent Souls. Each time a model in this unit is destroyed by a melee attack, if that model hasn't fought yet, roll a die. On a 3+, do not remove that model from play. That destroyed model can fight and then die. And then Force Shields give you a 4+ invul. Warp Spiders is the same, except they don't have their 24-inch jump. So no special abilities, just their Death Spinners. And the Exarchs got Power Blades and Death Weavers rather. And that's it. So a neat little combat patrol, and not a bad model count either. You get 21 miniatures in here. It's roughly, I think it's for the Dire, it's 75 for the Warp Spiders. For the Dire Avengers, you're looking at 140. So 140. Wraithblades are 170. So 310. And then 75 is 385. And a Spirit Seer, 385. Spirit Seer is going to add you in 65. So 450-ish for 430. It's not bad. Put 500 points in the box. Seems roughly on par. So let's talk about some Crusade rules. All right, so for Crusade stuff for the Eldar, obviously the whole point of Crusade is it's going to be about like leaning into the story of this dying race and how they navigate a universe perpetually at war. So you've got things, you've got basically Guiding Fate, which is if your Crusade force includes any Asuryani and Harlequins models and is not currently guiding Fate, it can begin to do so. To guide Fate, you must prevent the threat from reaching 13. So basically, the point of your Crusade is you're trying to stop some terrible thing that's going to affect the Eldar from happening. To guide Fate, you have to figure out what it's going to be. So the thread of Fate that you're pulling on, you roll a d6. It could be the Destined Device, a Rising Nemesis, Humble Beginnings, Enemy of My Enemy, Cleanse the Corruption, or Ish's Bounty. So all of those are like a plot hook. Destined Device would be like, there's a thing that needs to be made for you to succeed. Rising Nemesis would be like, there's a character, some evil bad guy that's coming up. Humble Beginnings is like, there's someone in your craft world that needs to be nurtured because they're going to rise to be a hero. Enemy of My Enemy is there's like you're allying basically with somebody to try and like take on a greater force. Cleanse the Corruption is something bad's happening inside your own society. And then Ish's Bounty is you're trying to like, I think it's like get a relic basically. And each of these will have different rule and plot hook. And that's like how you're going to form your force. And then in the result stage, you have like, whenever you reach this stage, your Crusade force will gain rewards based on how successful it was in avoiding the impending disaster. So when you finish your Crusade, if the threat's at 0 to 4, it's a brief respite. If it's at 9 to 12, you're beset. 5 to 8, watchful. And then 13+, you endure the inevitable. Select one unit from your Crusade force to gain 2 battle scars and 2 other units to gain 1 battle scar each, because like whatever the terrible doom is happens. So it's cool because you're basically counting down to doom all the time. And it's how much can you succeed in like the set time limit, keeping the doom down, and then the clock resets and another doom kicks in and you keep playing games. So it's a neat mechanic because it's not hard to track. All of your agendas are going to like lean into it. Like your things you're trying to do mid game, and they will allow you to either push down the threat points or not score any during that game. And then as the clock counts down for the number of battles you're supposed to play, you then clock like what your overall success ratio was, and then you just start over. You get all your paths, which are the sort of like traits you can gain. So Path of the Seer, Path of Command, Path of the Warrior will allow you to like learn all kinds of new skills. And then, yeah, cool requisitions like shrines and runes. Like you can go to like a burned future. Basically, you can like try and change the fate that you're on. Your Psychers, Vehicles, Guardians, Aspect Warriors, and your Harlequins can all gain different skills. And you get cool relics like the Rune of Falshoe, Eldari model only. At the end of your movement phase, select one enemy within 18, invisible to the bearer. Until the end of your next movement phase, each time a friendly Eldari model makes an attack that targets that unit, improve the armor penetration characteristic of that attack by 1. And then your badges are all based upon who you have at the end. And that's it. So there we go. Codex Aeldari. So what do I think? Well, first of all, it's really interesting to see Workshop finally basically done with all of these old metal sculpts. The fact that Karandras isn't here is pretty telling that there's probably a plastic Karandras coming at some point. It must be done because the Striking Scorpions are already finished. Seeing these in plastic is really cool. And this book feels the most like this book. The different detachments allowing you to play all of the various craft world styles or create your own craft world that kind of follows one of those things, like follows the path of the Seers with Elfway. Or the only thing that's really not in here is, and this is a notable sort of like omission, is there isn't a ranger force, so there isn't really an Elatok army. And I think that's it. Like that was the one that I noticed. There wasn't really a ranger army. And that's interesting because there's all these new, there's like the Ranger Viper, there's new plastic ranger miniatures. So like to not see an Exodites force represented in there in the detachment rules, I thought was a bit weird. Maybe it was just for page count. So a bit bummed about that it's not complete. Like they put in the Ynnead, but then took out the Exodites for whatever reason, or the ranger based force, whatever that's going to be. Like it's not necessarily going to be like Exodites riding dinosaurs, as much as I would want that. Dinosaurs would be cool. Maybe they're saving that for a rainy day, like they're saving Crandris. Maybe that'll be the blocks. That'll be a bunch of Exodite stuff being led by Crandris. Who knows? Love the Crusade stuff. Obviously, it's cool to see the Comet Patrol get zhuzhed up a little bit. It does feel like all of these 40k codexes are like waiting for other things to come down the pipe, like the new Crusade book and like some kind of cool new way of playing Combat Patrol that's on a kill team mat that's more like Spearhead. So I don't know. They do feel like they're being written with some kind of future proofing in mind though. And I do hope that's the case. So A+ for the new models, like obviously, like especially Lycus, it's just a banger. The other ones are such great homages to the Jez Goodwin sculpts that I just can't really find anything wrong with them. I am super tempted though to paint them up in 90s colors and give them green flock bases and play 3rd edition 40k with these miniatures. That feels like, because like I just don't like, this is great and I want to play more 40k, but the popular format for playing 40k right now, until there's more Crusade stuff that's like more fleshed out, it doesn't do anything for me. So like, yeah, I would love to paint these as like 2nd, 3rd edition miniatures and then play an older version of 40k with them that's a little less on the timeline. Like the fact that it describes playing an incursion mission in these books has taken 3 hours. I'm like, what? No, 2 to 3 hours for a 1,000-point game? I don't think so. So yeah, so obviously the Range Refresh is really cool. The book feels like an older style Games Workshop Codex. I'm kind of excited about that too. I just need more things to make me want to play with a smaller model count. So there it is. Big thanks for watching. Big thanks for Workshop sending along this book and these box sets to review. Till next time, Ash. Have a good one.